Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GDI Consulting webinar on the U.S. Patent and Trade Office BOSS Multiple Award IDIQ contract webinar. My name is Larry Weiss, and I am the Senior Business Development Manager at GDI Consulting. I'm also joined with Ab Vand, who heads our Capture and Proposal Development Department, and Ab will be going into the details of this Patent and Trade Office IDIQ RFP. Just some administrative notes. If this is the first time you are attending one of our webinars, to the right of your screen, under the blue File tab, there's a blue Download File button with which you can download the presentation slides. Chat is at the bottom of the right-hand side panel, which you can use to send your questions. If you click on the red button with the three dots to the right, it enlarges your screen and hides a side panel, and if you want to go back to chat or download the presentation, you click on the red button again with the three dots, and it'll expand the side panel. The reconnect button at the top of your screen is for situations if you lose your connection and you want to reconnect again. So, before we get into the presentation, let me just tell you a little bit about GDI Consulting. We've had terrific growth. We have an 81% win rate. We have a lot of experience in getting involved with small, medium, large proposals, and we have, very proud to say, we've had 210 wins in 2018, which translates to $6.2 billion worth of contracts. But for the shortage of time, you can read that, but the main message here is that we're not here to help you play, we're here to help you win contracts, and we want to do the best we can to make that happen. Just in terms of some of the RFPs that we've had terrific success, and you can go through them. There's DOD, there's civilian, there's GSA, there's IDIQs, there's actual RFPs. There's just, you know, we've had a lot. So, and when you hear Ab going through the PTO RFP that we're discussing today, you'll see that we have a lot of knowledge on these particular procurements. So, without further ado, let me turn it over to Ab now.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ab Vand. I head our Capture department, and I will be going through this USPTO project to give you some details about both the capture as well as the proposal development side. To go quickly over the outlines of the webinar, we're going to discuss the focus of this RFP, what are its highlights, the scope. We're going to discuss the SDI-NG contract, which is the current contract that is being performed, and we're going to also discuss the incumbents there. Then we'll go into the proposal structure, how they're going to evaluate it, partnering, which is an important issue here, what we think your win strategy should be, and then we'll go into a Q&A session to answer any questions that you might have. And I should say that this whole webinar is being recorded, so in case you have to drop out during the webinar, you can always listen to it later on. It's going to be sent to everyone within 24 hours, the replay. Okay, so the focus of this multiple award IDIQ is to provide software development integration services for COTS products and customized software applications, database applications, and other IT solutions, so that to transform the USPTO legacy operations to the next generation. So that's essentially the motto or the focus of this RFP. If we go over the main highlights, this is going to replace the USPTO's SDI-NG contract, and we'll get to that shortly. It is both for small and large businesses, but there's going to be a 3-to-2 ratio for small to large businesses. So there are going to be multiple awards. The government has not decided, how many awardees there will be, but the ratio will be a 3-to-2. So if there are 5 awardees, 3 of them will be small and 2 large. If there are 10 awardees, 6 small and 4 large, and so on. In terms of the ceiling, they've said that it's going to be as high as $2 billion for all the awardees. So it's a big contract, and it's a 10-year period contract. So once you're on this vehicle, it's a good thing for the next 10 years for your business. The NAICS code is 541512. If you want to participate in the small business side section, obviously you have to be small under this 541512. And do remember that the size standards have changed. So it's no longer 27.5 million, it's 30.5 million for small businesses under this NAICS code. There is a conflict of interest, organizational conflict of interest with 3 other contract vehicles at USPTO, the IDIA-2, the ITSS, and the squad, the SQAD testing. These 3 contract vehicles do have conflict of interest with this project, with this RFP. So if you're on any of those, I think you need to consult with the contract documents and make sure that you can actually resolve this OCI. Okay, so the scope of this project covers program management, system and software development, architecture and design, coding, unit integration, performance, security, and regression testing, so all these types of testing, configuration and release management, defect triage, production support, maintenance, and user experience design. So all of these are covered under the scope of this contract. Incumbents. Okay, so let's discuss the USPTO SDI-NG. The SDI-NG is the previous contract that is being performed right now, and this new BOSS contract is going to replace it. The SDI-NG contract was awarded in 2016. September 2016, and it's supposed to end in September 2020 with a possible 6-month extension. So that is why the government is bidding this BOSS project now, and probably towards the second quarter of 2020. The total ceiling for that project was only $480 million, whereas this one is $2 billion. There were 8 awardees. So far, out of that $480 million, only $252 million have been obligated. That's around 52%, which is, whereas 3/4 of a contract period has passed. So it's a 4-year period, 3 years have passed, but only 52% have been obligated of the contract amount. And as the government itself has said, 70% of the task orders have been less than $1 million. And that table shows, it might be a little bit small. We'll get to the details in the next slides. But the incumbent situation, as you can see, the major incumbents are CGI Federal, Maximus, Salient, CRGT, SAIC, and perhaps Maximus. So these are the 5 major ones. The other ones are small. That section with progress means if their obligation has increased during these years or decreased. You can see that only Maximus and Unisys have been increasing towards 2019. The rest have been decreasing, and CSRA is just the level. They haven't seen an increase or decrease. We can go into more detail on each of these in the next slides. For example, this is the CGI Federal. You can see that, as I said, they haven't changed that much during these years, you can see that 16 million during 2018 and 2019, essentially. And here is also a list. You can, when you download the slides, you can look at it. List of their subcontractors as well. This is important for capture purposes. So list of the subcontractors they have on this project. CSRA, you can see that they have decreased a little bit during 2018 and 2019. 2017, they didn't get that much of a contract. Maximus, they have been expanding each year, so they're on an upside. And Facil, their value, the contract value is essentially small compared to the rest of the awardees. And in 2019, they didn't get as much as they did in 2018. Pragmatic, again, they're a small contender here, but they have been on a decreasing scale in 2019 compared to 2018. SAIC, they are one of the large ones. We've listed their subs as well, so you can take a look at the subcontractors as well. And they haven't done better in 2019 than 2018, but they're still one of the largest incumbents as far as the obligated value of the contract is concerned. And then we have Salient CRGT. They're on the decreasing level here in 2018. And then finally Unisys, which has been growing from the beginning, but not as big as the rest. And they have one sub, which is listed here. So this is essentially the situation of the incumbents in this current ongoing project. Now let's look at the bidding procedures for the upcoming BOSS project. It's a two-phased evaluation approach. And I should mention one thing, first of all, that we are in the pre-solicitation stage, so the full solicitation has not dropped. The government issued an RFI in August 19th, and it was closed in September 19th, so we are past that. The problem, and I should mention this so everybody knows, is clear on this, if you did not respond to the RFI, you're not able to be a prime on the BOSS RFP when it's going to drop. So only those companies that did respond to the RFI can participate as prime, but not all hope is lost because you can still participate as a sub, and partnering is very important. I'm going to go over that. So most primes are going to look for subs. So if you did not participate and respond to the RFI, you still have hope in terms of being a sub to another company. And it doesn't mean that all those companies that did respond to the RFI are going to be selected, because the government is going to do a down select even based on the responses to the RFI, and then issue the RFP to only those companies that they have selected based on the responses from the RFI. So that's the situation. Now, assuming that you're one of the selected companies, once they review your RFI response, we're going from there. So here's the bidding procedure after that. It's going to be a two-phase bidding procedure. Phase one, you're supposed to provide 4 volumes, small business participation, past performance, program management and staffing approach, and price. They're going to review it, and then if you're good to go, they're going to ask you to participate in phase 2. So in fact, they're going to again down select a number of companies, and then only ask a selected few to go into phase 2, which is two volumes. In fact, volume 4 price, and then a technical challenge that they're going to explain how it's going to be later on. So this is the down select process and the evaluation approach. So we're going to go over quickly each of these volumes to understand what is lying ahead for companies who are selected by the government due to their RFI response. The first volume is the small business participation. It's going to be maximum 20 pages. Now, do remember that both small businesses and large businesses can respond to the BOSS RFP. So all of them must provide a small business participation plan. And in that, a minimum of 10% must be subcontracted to small businesses. Also, past performance information on compliance on the utilization of SB concerns if you're not a small business yourself. If you're a small business, you don't need that. But if you're a large business, you need to provide this information. Everyone needs to also provide a small business subcontracting plan. I mean, when I say everyone, I mean the non-small business offerers. They need to provide a small business subcontracting plan, which must meet the Department of Commerce subcontracting goals, 36% small business overall, and the other goals are also spelled as far as all the set-asides are concerned in the RFP. So if you're a large business, you need to provide a small business subcontracting plan, spelling out how you're going to do that. And then all teaming agreements, in other words, all the agreements that you sign with your subcontractors, or if you're a joint venture or a mentor protege, all of that, all of those legal documentation must go here under teaming agreements in volume 1. It doesn't count towards the 20-page limit, of course. Now, in volume 2, which is the past performance, this is perhaps the most important part. One of them, at least, you're supposed to provide 3 to 5 contracts or task orders that are recent and relevant. And recent means they need to have been completed or be ongoing during the past past 3 years. And relevant is, as far as size is concerned, the projects must be $1 million or more over a 12-month period. That means, to explain that, if it's a $1.5 million project over a 2-year period, that's no good. So in effect, you have to divide the value of the contract by the period of the contract to come up with a dollar value that is over 1 million. For scope, it needs to cover what is covered in the draft PWS sections C2 through C5, which is all the requirements of the scope that the government is looking for. And then for complexity, there are a number of issues that you need to cover: agile, non-agile development methodologies, DevOps, and operations and maintenance support services. Also technologies like Apache, Java, JavaScript, Spring, and the list continues. So all of this must be covered in those 3 to 5 contracts. You also need to submit PPQs, past performance questionnaires, for the 3 to 5 contracts. So not only do you need to provide the information on these, on the forums, but also you need to provide the PPQs for them. Then we go to volume 3, which is the program management and staffing approach. It's only 15 pages for that. You need to provide a proposal management team. In other words, it needs to be at the IDIQ level and the task order level. So you have to explain both of them, IDIQ level and task order level, how your management team is going to do work. And then risk management methodologies as far as scope, schedule, and cost is concerned, approach to collaboration with the government and other contractors, approach to task order transitions, and then a staffing approach. The staffing approach is supposed to cover recruiting, motivation and retention, and capability. You need to show your capabilities to provide multiple functional teams at the same time. So all of this must be covered in those 15 pages for volume 3. And then volume 4 is obviously price, the usual legal administrative documents like SF 1449, reps and certs. If you have any OCI, conflict of interest, you need to mention here. We do need to provide a price narrative, and that those 10 pages is essentially for that. So you need to provide your pricing assumptions as well as a basis of estimate. And then there is a price worksheet that you have to fill out. You have to fill out the fully burdened rates for years 1 to 5. Remember, I did say that this is a 10-year project, but they don't want your prices for the second 5 years. That you're going to give them after or during year 5. So here we just provide years 1 to 5. And do remember that the form doesn't include any escalation rates. It's 0%. So when you're filling it up, do enter your own escalation rates per year. Okay, so now let's go into the evaluation procedures. As I said, this is a two-step process. Evaluation in phase 1. There are 4 factors: small business, past performance, program management, staffing approach, and price. And the order of importance is the same. So small business participation is the most important part. Then comes past performance and onwards. And they're providing rating as superior, good, satisfactory, marginal, or unsatisfactory for factors 1 and 3. And factor 2 is superior, satisfactory, neutral, or unsatisfactory. That's for past performance. Now, if they find any of these 3 factors, 1, 2, 3, as unsatisfactory, they're going to put aside your offer totally. So none of them must be unsatisfactory. Now, factors 1 to 3 are each also or combined more important than factor 4, price. So essentially, they're looking for quality and not for price. You really need to work on the first 3 factors. If you're selected in phase 1 and are delegated or moved to phase 2, you will hear from the government. And then there, they're going to review again your price plus a technical challenge and how you do on that technical challenge, which is on coding and things like that. And the technical challenge is obviously, again, more important than price. And this is how they're going to down select to the number of companies that they want. As I said, they have not selected how many they're going to, they're not set how many they're going to select, but it's a 3-to-2 ratio, 3 to 2 as far as small business to large businesses is concerned. Now let's discuss partnering, which is very important. Why is partnering important? First of all, by partnering, in other words, subcontracting or even forming a JV, you're adhering to the requirements of Volume 1 small business participation. So that's the first thing that is covered by, creating a prime sub relationship so that you can answer to the requirements of the small business participation in Volume 1. But more importantly is for Volume 2, because if you remember, you're supposed to provide 3 to 5 contracts that need to cover both in terms of some of the technologies that are listed here, Java, JavaScript, or jQuery technologies, or Alfresco, all of that, as well as Agile, non-Agile, or DevOps. So you really need to work with your partners to find the gaps, and then provide 3 or up to 5 contracts that does cover all of these. The more of these technologies that you cover, the stronger your rating will be. So that's where the subs come into play. And also the last part that you can use partnering is in the last section, which is the technical challenge. You might have very strong subs in terms of coding or agile technologies, and you can bring them in and use them there. So these are the various parts that you can use subs. I would say the most important part is Volume 2, and using the subs capabilities and projects to cover the gaps that you might have yourself in terms of past performance, covering all those technologies. Okay, and we have put together a win strategy as far as how we think you should approach this, we think you'd really need to do a gap analysis, especially on volume 2 capabilities, what you have and what you don't have, and then decide on your partnering strategy. Our recommendation is, if you can resolve the logistics, to have as many subs as possible to cover all your gaps. So cover all those technologies that we did mention in the previous slide. Here, all these technologies, Apache, Java, JavaScript, all of that, plus the methodologies like agile, non-agile development, all that. So you really need to work on your subs and decide how you're going to do that. For large businesses, they need to establish their small business participation strategy as well. And then decide on your contract submission strategy. The reason is that the maximum that you can provide is 5 contracts, and you want to pick the best 5 that cover all those technologies and methodologies that we mentioned for volume 2. So picking the right contracts is both from your side and from your subcontractors is a hard job to do, because you want to make sure that you cover the gaps, and you also want to make sure that you're showing that you can do it yourself. For example, you wouldn't want to have all 5 contracts from your subcontractors. Obviously, the government will not give you a better rating because they want to make sure that the prime itself is providing a lot of those capabilities. So the selection of those 5 contracts is crucial on how you do it, as far as the rating that you will get on volume 2. Then for volume 3, you have 15 pages. It's a very short, in terms of number of pages, very short for answering all those requirements. So you really need to be concise, good, strong, to the point, have good proof points, and give evaluators confidence that you can do it better than the others. So that's a little bit hard to write all that information in just 15 pages. So you really need to work there and concentrate there as far as writing is concerned, and working on that. So we are proposing for companies to outsource both the capture and proposal writing talent if they are not comfortable with their own, or at least get their proposals reviewed by an independent body, because this is a project that you don't want to be left out. $2 billion for 10 years. So you really need to put everything you have on it. So I guess here Larry can step in and explain some of the services we have and go from there.
Okay, thank you, Ab. You can see from Ab's presentation that we're pretty familiar with the proposal process with PTO and what they want, and the nature of how we put the proposal together, how we help you do it, and just to help you win. What we offer is obviously full proposal development, the capture support if you need it, partnering support, the whole the whole process. Again, reviewing and auditing, as Ab says, this is a big procurement, and we want to make sure it's done right in volumes 1 through 3. Our staff augmentation, depending on what you need, we can provide the capture management, we can provide either a proposal manager and writer, and we can provide the technical subject matter experts that are the critical factors in how your proposal will be evaluated. So at any rate, before I turn it back to Ab, as he said before, you do have you will have the actual presentation today with the information. You can contact me. I'm in the Washington area, or Ab, who is our VP of Capture. Before I give it over, well, let's say I think we have next is Q&A. Let me just read a couple of questions, Ab. Someone says they saw it yesterday. Can we still submit a response? Did they extend the deadline? I guess they're talking about the RFI because the RFP isn't quite out yet.
Yeah, I think, yeah, the RFI it was finished, I mean, closed at September 19th. So you cannot, as far as I
Okay.
know, respond.
Okay. Another question is where, in what document, did the government stipulate that a company cannot prime unless they responded to the RFI?
Well, that's mentioned both in the RFI document itself. I think there's a Q&A at the end. Also, they have issued a number of Q&As, I think 2 rounds of it. That's mentioned there as well. Unfortunately, for those companies that missed it, they cannot participate directly as primes. So that's the situation.
Well, I guess that's that I've seen that happen in PTO before. Are there any other questions that you have or that you either want to put in the chat that we can answer right now, or again, if they come up later, you can contact us. Is there anything else that anybody has?
While people are typing, I did receive 2 questions. One question was, when is the full RFP going to drop? It's expected to drop in the second quarter of 2020. So that's at least the date they have given so far. Another question that I've received is, can we use subcontractors' past performance? Yes, you can use subcontractors' past performance. And here's the catch. Even if, because at the RFI level, you were supposed to provide some of the information for your past performance, and there you could also provide subcontractors and provide past performance for subcontractors. Now, if you're selected and the government says you're good to go and participate in the RFP, again, you can bring in more subcontractors. So it's not that if you told the government in the RFI that subcontractor A and B are our subcontractors, that you have to stick with them only. You cannot change them if you use their past performance. So you still need to bring in subcontractor A and B in the RFP response, but you can also bring in subcontractor C, D, E, and F and onwards. And one other question I received, which is strange, not the question, but what the government has said, is can we form a JV for the RFP? Now, here's the catch. If you participate in the RFI and you got approval, and you get approval actually, so the government comes back to you and say, okay, you're good to go, you can participate in the RFP. So far, at least, what they've said is that you can now, even though not at the time of the RFI, you went solo, but afterwards you can actually create a joint venture. So even if you went solo at the time of the RFI, you can create a joint venture or even a mentor protege after that for the RFP response. So this is something that is a little bit strange, but that's what they've said in the Q&A that they issued. So as far as primes are concerned, they can increase the number of subcontractors they have to fill in all those gaps after they do the gap analysis. Just remember, if you used some of the past performance of some subcontractors for your responses in the RFI, you cannot put aside those subcontractors. So you need to stick with them. That's as far as the primes are concerned. For subs, I think not all hope is lost. You can because a lot of primes are looking for subcontractors, and so you can actually try to find them and then create teams. And I should mention to both companies that are prime and companies that want to be or have to be subs, if you let us know we can actually put your hand in the hand of the other companies. There's no cost for that. You just let us know that you want, you're a prime and you're looking for subs, and then we will try to find the subs that are interested, and we will connect you together. So just email us, let us know, and we'll help you as much as we can.
Yeah, I think that was one of the questions. How do we connect to participating as a sub? And I think you just answered it. So I have a question here. Does PTO promise that there will be a minimum contract award per prime contract awarded?
Well, they've said that there will be a minimum $1,000. So the first task order that they will award will be essentially the minimum requirement. We'll answer that, but there's a minimum $1,000 that they've mentioned. They will say so. That's the minimum, actually, if you want to know what the minimum is.
Well, boy, don't spend it all in one place, right? $1,000 for all this work. I think, I mean, IDIQs are famous for a lot of work, and sometimes you don't get business, but at least $1,000. Okay.
One thing is that the good thing about this project is that we know already that $252 million has been obligated for it. So, I mean, it's not something that nobody knows if it's going to go on or not. They have spent that much so far during the past 3 years. So I'm sure that they will spend even more during the coming years.
Well, I've had experience with PTO, and it is definitely the gift that keeps on giving. You just have to get on the contract. So, okay, other questions, comments, what ifs?
But as you said, if anybody has any questions, just come up with them later on. No problem. Just email us and we'll respond back to you with your answers.
All right. So on behalf of GDI Consulting, I'd like to say thank you very much for participating. Again, please contact us if you need some follow-up. We appreciate your time, and best of luck to everyone in competing for this contract. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. And we will keep this open so that you can download the slides if you have not so far.